Hello viewers, I hope you all are doing fine. It is with great joy that I bring to you another exciting episode of the Joshua Generation program, brought to you by your favorite TV station, ACNNTV. I am Neuro Josiah and I'm your host on this episode. With me in the show today is Dr. Kasarachi Innocent, and we will be discussing the topic overcoming the challenges of life. This is the first part of this episode. We promise every bit of it will be worthwhile. You're welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you so much.
Sir. So can you take us through your journey?
Well, let me thank you first of all for having me come discuss on this program. I am so much in love with what ACNN is doing.
Thank you so much.
Especially for the youth and the society at large. It's a great honor for me to be here. My name is Kasarachi Innocent, and when you talk about the journey, taking you through the journey, I was born several years ago, and at the age of 3, I got attacked by the polio virus, and I went down to the ground, and I was crawling and creeping on the ground for a total of 6 years. And the one making the seventh year, I got registered in school, where I was almost denied the registration by a headmaster because he felt I was crawling on the ground, and he said to my father that I would never be a student and that he should consider sending me to go learn how to repair things and mend things and the rest of them. And then I got back to learning walking with a staff, with a walking stick, and then from there I go back to school and got registered, and then from there I went to secondary school, and from there to the University of Nigeria in Nsukka, and then finished. And then I had a challenge of getting a job because I would apply to different companies and attend their interviews, and I'll be denied employment on just one condition, and that condition was my physical disability. And they would always say to me, we would have taken you, but because of your condition,
we're not taking you.
Well, we're not going to take you. And then so this continued, and for 2 years after leaving the university with a first class, I couldn't get a job. Even those that my result was better than their own, all got jobs, and it was a very terrible time for me. From there, I got a job teaching in a place where they prepare students extramural classes for JAMB and WAEC exams, and then from there I got a job teaching, doing home lessons for people, and then from there teaching English in a privately owned secondary school, becoming a principal, and then from there taking money going to register for my master's program, and then finishing the master's, got married, got employed, and then did my PhD by God's grace, and today I teach in 2 different universities, one as a full-time lecturer and the other one as a visiting scholar. I have a radio program I do called Standing Tall on Radio. It's a motivational program that's been on air since 2008 till now. I'm married to my friend, and I have 4 children, and I do a whole lot for write, I edit, and I find myself useful speaking at conferences, life coach issues, and the rest of them. And today, by God's grace, I'm not dependent on anybody, and I'm able to take care of myself and my family. I think that's where I am right now.
Wow, that's a great one.
Thank you.
So, sir, what do you have to say about the kind of relationship that exists between the society and the physically challenged persons?
Well, if you ask me sincerely, I'm going to tell you this. First of all, a greater percentage of the society does not consider people with disabilities as human. They consider them as subhuman. They don't think they are actually to be treated as human beings. For instance, when I was in school, first of all, when I went to get registered, I've told you that. Somebody saw me as human, but said I can never be a student. That's number 1. Number 2, you discover that were I there in school, maybe during break or something, I want to play with my classmates, my teachers will tell me no. There was nothing that was due a student that they gave to me. Some mocked me, some laughed at me. And then you get away from there. And I remember one day, right there, in secondary school at Government College, Aghemwenhio, Abia State. I was in a boarding school, and the students rioted and said that the quality and quantity of food they were being given was not okay. They were not going to eat. So the school rallied around and pacified them. Then those who had physical challenges in our own section, we also said we will not eat. And the school just said, if you don't want to eat, leave it. So they could pacify those who were physically okay, but they didn't find it was worthwhile pacifying any other person. So we are considered subhuman. In every way, in employment is the same. In academic opportunities, education opportunities is the same. What about marriage? That's the worst. When I wanted to marry, a lot of women who got to know I was close to their daughters despised me. They said horrible things. In fact, when I wanted to marry my current wife, my mother-in-law had to go call police and arrest me and said over her dead body that I will marry somebody like that, her daughter will marry somebody like me. You come to the church. How does the church treat people with physical disability? It's the same thing. They use them to fake miracles. Some of this so-called one-man church use them to fake miracles. What about politicians? Politicians use the physically challenged when they want to show that they care about society. During Christmas, they will buy one bag of rice to give to people who have issues. They will pay the media 100,000 to cover it, to polish their image. So people who are physically challenged, the society hardly treats them as normal. I have had an experience of a child who has cerebral palsy, and the parents built a small cage at the back of the house where they lock this boy up. Yes, they lock him up. So when they have visitors, they will lock him there. When they want to go out, they will lock him there.
So he doesn't go out.
He doesn't go out. So that the society will not know they have such a child. Such a child is abnormal. Such a child is an eyesore. Such a child should not be seen. They shouldn't be identified with such a child. And when I heard it, I went there and I confronted them. And the man asked me to get out, that the child is his. And he would treat the child any way he likes. But you know one funny thing. Why society is doing this? I know there are pockets here and there of people who treat us like humans. I wouldn't also think it's all negative. I have met teachers who believed in me, who loved me, who cared for me. You can't believe that when I was smaller, we'll go to church sometimes, and small children, toddlers, will just come towards me, and I reach out to touch them, and their mothers will rush and snatch them away, yes. As if I touch them, they will become disabled, as if disability was contagious. That's how bad it is, yes. That's how bad it is. And so the problem the society doesn't understand is that as long as a man is not dead, he is not free from disability. As long as you are alive, you may become disabled one day. So that's just the situation as it is. The society does not regard those who have physical disability. Even the church, sorry to say, doesn't do that.
That's so bad how our society treats physically challenged people.
Yeah, we've learned to live with it. Yeah, we've learned to live with it. Even as I was coming to Abuja, this one, I just walked into the aircraft with my stick, and then the air hostess just saw me from there, just walked up to me and said, please put up that and it shouldn't wound somebody. Find somewhere and keep it. It's so terrible. It's so horrible. I mean, at my level. So you imagine what they do to people who are younger. It's terrible. I've gone to look for a school for my children once, and the proprietors came out and looked at me and said, I hope you didn't come here to ask for arms. And I came to pay school fees for my kids. So there's this perception that once somebody is physically challenged, forget it, he's a beggar. He can never rise beyond that. So when they see you, they just judge you. There's already a stereotype. They already think that's who you are. It's horrible, it's terrible. If you don't have a heart, you can't bear it. That's where we are.
So, sir, while growing up, were there some obstacles you had to face?
Yeah, of course. By virtue of my story, you know the obstacles were there. The first one was, there were two sets of obstacles, internal and external, right? The internal ones were the ones inside of me. First of all, I felt God hated me because I wasn't born like this. I had this issue at the age of 3. So I felt, why would God be there and this will happen to me? That's number one. I was bitter. And you know when you are bitter, you can feel happy and you can't achieve anything. I was lonely, right? I mean, I couldn't move around with my friends, with my age mates. So there was this segregation right from time. I even, at some point, I thought about taking my life, ending it all. That's the internal part. Then the external part is that my parents always faced mockery. You know, so if they too didn't stand for me, it would have been a problem. Then the other obstacles mainly revolved around feeling I didn't do things when others were doing. When I entered primary school, my mates were already in primary 3. So there was that discouragement. There was that segregation, right? Sometimes when we come out to play and I want to play with my age mates, they will say, no, your stick will wound us. But I remember a particular day, while then I used to be a Catholic, while we were about to, we were doing something in the church in the evening, we came out to play, and everybody was playing. I was just the only one that was alone. So I saw a group of young people sitting on the floor, and I said, please let me join you. They said, no, your stick. I said, no, I'm going to keep it down. All of you are sitting, I'm going to sit down. So I sat down. And a young girl came up and said, you're not going to play with us, whether you're sitting or you're standing. So I said, please, I'm lonely. I want to play with you. And she said, I sat down. The other said, sit down. I sat down. And this guy said, I'm going to count 3. And if I count 3 and you don't leave here, I'm going to deal with you. So she counted 3. I was still sitting there. So she put her hand on my collar, the collar of my shirt, and dragged me up. I said, come on, get out from here. So I picked my stick and took a step to go away. Then she used her leg and kicked me from behind. So I fell faceward on the sand. So the other kids started laughing. So I turned upwards, still lying down. I looked up at her and said, what did I do? And she spat on my face. She spat with venom. The spittle covered my face, my eyes, my nose ran through my mouth. I was crying and I stood up and went home. So loneliness was one. Segregation, mockery, that was one. And then the other challenge I had was the challenge of once somebody sees you, he feels you're a beggar. Nobody wants their children to interact with you. So I was always bitter. And then going to school was another problem. Because for me to go to a boarding school, I had to take care of myself. So I had to fetch water for myself. And as at then, my school didn't have a running tap. So we are crossing the road to go fetch water in a stream. So I would stretch my hand like this and put the bucket on my hand and hold my stick. And then I'll cross the road quietly, little by little. I'll go to the stream, fetch half. And then sometimes when I'll be coming, my stick will slip and I'll fall. And the water will pour and I will go back to the stream. And sometimes I'll be on my way to the dining for food. But because I walk slowly holding this plate, before I get there, they finish food and I'll come back. And I won't eat. And all this while, there was so much poverty. I mean, I didn't have a shoe to wear. I didn't have sandals. I didn't have slippers. During that period, I couldn't even trek home. Because walking on barefoot on coal tar when the sun hits it is very hot. So I went through a whole lot of things. Heartbreak, poverty, lack of food, molestation by senior students. I had an exercise book for all my notes. The teachers felt I was nobody and so many things. So the poverty and the wrong perception and treatment by people, the sense that God didn't like me, the fact that everybody who saw me felt I was a beggar, segregations, there were challenges. Very horrible challenges. You're talking about why growing up. What about challenges after I had graduated? I mean, you come out of school, you fought, you've had a good degree, you've had a first class, and you come out, and then they say, this opportunity is there. I'll travel to Abuja, Lagos, Ondo, everywhere, borrow money, go there. At the end, they will say, we would have taken you, but because of your condition. You know, being disqualified for reasons other than what you are being tested on. This job is advertised. And they said, do you have a 2-1 or first class? I had. Did you have it in this place? I had. Come and do the test. Can you pass? I passed. And then you are now judging me based on something different from what you advertised. And then I saw my mates, those who I helped in school, now walking and comfortable. Those challenges were horrible. They were terrible. They were terrible.
You know, during Joshua Generation International Youth Conference, you shared a story of how one of your lecturers asked you to go to the gate.
Yes, and beg. Yes.
Can you tell us something about
that? The man involved happened to be a minister of the gospel, but I don't want to mention the denomination and all that.
So bad.
Yes. What happened was that when I was in year 1, going to year 2, it was during the Abacha era. okay? And so many universities were shut down, lecturers were on strike. So what Abacha did, what the government did then was to get some junior lecturers who were willing and then make them HOD, okay? So some of them now accepted and were working, and they were called back to school. Now, what happened was that this lecturer came to teach us, and then he encouraged us to go and read far and wide, you know, look for materials and read. So I found a material. I saw a lecturer's name on it, but I didn't know the lecturer. I didn't know that this lecturer who wrote this material was his arch enemy. I never knew. So when I read it, I saw some kind of discrepancy between what he was teaching and what was there. So I quietly went to his office and I said, sir, please look at what I have. And he said, wow, let me have the material. I showed him. I never knew what was going on. So he went through, he said, okay, this is what you came to ask me a question. I said, yes, okay. Before I answer you, let me ask you my own questions. So he said to me, when you were entering the university, where did you pass? And I said, I passed the gate, sir. And he said, okay. So who did you see at the gate when you were passing? I was wondering the connectivity between these two things. So I told him, hawkers, very at the front of the gate, transporters, bike men, taxi men by the gates, security men by the gates, passers-by, and all that. And they said, okay, just who else? And I said, okay, I saw some beggars by the sides of the gate, not really in front of the gate. And I said, describe them. And I said, well, some of them are blind, some of them are physically challenged. And he pointed me in my face and he said, that's where people like you stay. He said to me, so you saw them at the gate and you passed. What the man was doing was transferred aggression. You passed the gate and you came in here. He said to me, look around the class. Is there anybody with a stick in their hand? Say, you're odd. You are the only one. Say, your place is not in this classroom. But yeah, pack your things. Go to the gate, go there and beg. And that day was exactly 1 month my father was buried. And my father was a pillar of my life. So I was already in mourning. So I packed my things. I left the class. But I didn't go to the gate. I went somewhere and cried my eyes out. I cried from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. I was weeping. So it's been part of it. I mean, I almost got, that man almost broke me to pieces. And that's exactly the problem I have with people. You see, behind every man you see, there's a story you're not aware of. So you don't aggravate what the person is going through. A word, just a single word, can build a person. Another single word can destroy a person. If I wasn't who I am, the kind of strength of mind I have and the grace of God, I would have left school. I would have left school that day. I would have said, I'm done. Reason being, I just lost my dad. 2, this is a minister of the gospel who should know better. So why would he do this to me? And then 3, I'm trying to do my best, but it's as if nobody wants to accept me. You encouraged me to go read. I've read, and then this was it. So it's all part of the story. That's just an isolated case. I've had cases like that over and over. It's normal. It's normal.
Well, I must say that I don't like the fact that you had to go through everything, but I'm happy you made it.
Yeah, it's all part of this. So, you know, sometimes you go through things. God is making you go through those things to prepare you for what is coming. And most of the things I say now to encourage people, when they were happening to me, they were bitter experiences. You understand? If you don't have a test, you won't have a testimony. So whatever you go through, as long as you're in the will of God, is all part of the main story. I've told these stories where I was paid millions. The same stories that were bitter. So it's all part of it. It's all part of it.
Okay, we'll talk more about it when we come back from a break.
Thank you.
Alright, viewers, as you heard from our guests, one word can build someone. Another word can take someone down. Please, let's be careful with the words we use on people. We shall be going on a break, and when we return, we'll continue from where we stopped. Stay back and enjoy this video.
If you want to maximize who you are in life, you don't tell stories of what has happened to you. You tell stories of what will I do to come out of what has happened to me. Young people, listen to me. On the journey to success, you're going to fall several times. But when you fall, you're going to get right back on your legs. I knew I might be physically challenged, but that is not who I am. I know that you might not be beautiful according to people's standards, but that's not who you are. Young people, listen. Life is not about the container, but the content. Life is not about the container. It's not about how tall you are. It's not about who you think you are. What can you do? What is inside of you? What prophecy are you carrying? What dream are you carrying? Listen, child of God. Nobody is your classmate. You are your own. Nobody should influence you. Hey, young person, listen to me. You are not in competition with anybody.
Welcome back. This is Joshua Generation Program, and I'm still talking on the topic overcoming the challenges of our life with our guest, Dr. Kasarachi Innocent. You're welcome back, sir.
Thank you so much. I'm glad you have me back here.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So, sir, can you please tell us some things that led to your success story? Some of the things you had to avoid, some of the things you had to do.
All right. First of all, I've been asked this question severally. What led to my success story? The first thing is what happened so many years ago. While I was in secondary school, as I said before, things were tough. You know, there was no food. So I had these three friends, Stanhope, Ebuka, Aghemwenhio, and Mbadiwe Kalu. Mbadiwe is dead now. So they will always give me Gary to drink. You know, I will always beg them Gary to drink. So one day, I begged them. They said, if we give you this Gary to drink, you fool us to fellowship. And I said, no, I won't go. But I was hungry, and I said, give me Gary. So they gave me, put enough milk and Milo, and I drank, and I followed them to fellowship. It was Scripture Union. And right there, before then I was going to church, but I didn't know the Lord. So right there, the pastor, the speaker, who happened to be a student to Udo Onwumere, is in Abuja here, made an altar call. That was the last thing I remembered. So I went out and answered. And then when I opened my eyes, I had been on the ground and I'd been rolling. From there, my life took a change. So the first factor for my success is the G factor, God. God is the key. God is the foundation. If you know my story, if I rewind a little, when I had the challenge of losing my leg, my mom had taken me to hospital and the doctor had confirmed me dead. They brought me back and my uncles were already marking a place for me to be buried. They had dug a grave. My mother said she had a voice. I said to her, don't hand over this boy. He's not dead. Don't hand over this boy to them. So God had intervened very early. If not, I would have been buried. And then along the line too, God spared my life. And then when I met him, everything took a different turn. Sister, let me say this to you. I do not arrogate any success to my strength. No. I should be receiving from people, but now I'm giving. God relocated me from the position of begging to where I am now. So to everyone, I don't care who you are, without God, you didn't achieve anything. There is no success. No, not at all. You just struggle. That's number one. Number two was the fact of my mindset. That was the next thing that helped me. Yes, my mindset. I learned very early to enjoy my own company. I learned very early not to judge myself, not to see me from the eyes of people. I learned very early not to commit to mind the kind of words people speak to me. I learned very early to believe that I'm not in a competition with you. I mean, you can do your thing, I'll do mine. Yes. I learned very early that I don't need to be like you to be good. I mean, I can be what I am, satisfied with who I am. I learned very early that discipline is key. Very key. But from my mindset, discipline myself. How? I am not carried away by what carries others away. All right? You want to wear shoes, you want to do this. I'm not saying looking good is bad. But I arrange my priorities from very early. Now, I told myself, by virtue of my condition, what I need to do is to read. In fact, my dad called me one day while he was still alive. I said to me, can you push a wheelbarrow? I said no. Can you push a truck? I said no. Can you play football? I said no. Can you do this? I kept saying, and I got angry. I said, Papa, why are you asking me these questions? He said to me, I'm asking you these questions to say that the only thing you can do to become a person in life is what it will take you to sit down and do, not what it will take you to stand on two legs. So I said to him something like what? And he said to me, sit down and read your books. He said to me, if you miss books, you will never become anything in life. He said, your elder brother have two legs. They're okay. Even if they don't go to school, they can struggle. They can do any other thing. And so, at the end of the day, I decided to put my priorities right. And what are these priorities? I needed to read my books. I believe that life is stage by stage. When I'm supposed to read, I read. When I'm supposed to be alone, I was alone. One of the problems people have right now is that they don't understand the stage of life where they are. So they do the wrong thing. So I was disciplined. My dear, I read a lot. Yes. I wasn't carried away by people. I had friends who were girls, not girlfriends in the sense that people put it now. Because I felt there was time for, in fact, I was despised by ladies. I thank God for the kind of wife I have now. You know, God can give you what is right when it is time. Then I was patient with God. I wasn't desperate about anything. I believe that what I don't get today, I'll get it tomorrow. I don't need to break my rules because I want to get something right away. I also believed in falling down and standing up. You know, when I was learning to walk with this stick newly, I would fall down, I would wound, I would stand up. Because in the journey to success, falling down is compulsory, but getting up is a choice. There's no way you will succeed without falling. No. In the journey to success, so you must make that mindset there. If you've made a mistake, it's okay. Everybody has made a mistake. Stand up. Don't stay on the ground because you made a mistake. These are some of the things. And then time management, focus, mindset. In fact, the key thing was mindset. I believe that if you can do anything, I can do it. The difference might be time, but I'll be able to do it. I think these are some of the keys that led, in addition to God. There's something I didn't mention. My family loved me so much. Yes. My family loved me so much. My father loved me so much. In fact, that day when that girl spat on my face, as I got back home, as I cried home with that spittle on my face, I couldn't open my mouth because they covered my mouth. As I walked in, it was in the evening, I walked into the compound. My mother was preparing the evening meal. So she just saw me and said, nah, what is it? And then she saw the thing on my face. She came to me, loosed her top wrapper, and used it and wiped the spit off my face. And then she held me and I was crying. So when I finished, she asked me, what happened? I explained to her. She smiled. I said, is that why you're crying? That girl spat on your face. I just want to say, don't bother. He said, do you know you are a great man? He said, you will be a very great man. He said, you will buy cars and build houses. He said, you will marry somebody even more beautiful than that girl. My mother always put fire in my bones. I remember in the market square, a woman mocking my mom and saying, you carry this boy all over the place at this age. What will he become? Please
let the woman come and see you now.
So which day will he become something to take care of him? And my mother said, I'm not carrying him because he's going to become something and take care of me. I'm carrying him because he's my child. My father was my aeroplane. He would always carry me on his shoulder everywhere we went to. My two elder brothers would fight anybody who dared mock me. My younger sister would stay back in school to carry my bag home. I had a family who never despised me. Unlike parents of today who condemn their children because they have one physical, they have one challenge or the other. Autism, cerebral palsy, they despise them. Not remembering that they themselves are not perfect. Who is perfect before God? So that love. So each time I will remember. Any little thing I do, my mom will praise me. So I will remember it. And I was working hard to make my family happy. So God was there, my family was there, then my own mindset. I think these are the three key things.
I'm just happy that you're great indeed. You're really great.
We thank God for His grace, yes.
So sir, coming generally now, I'm not being specific about physically challenged
people. All right.
What encouragement do you have to say to youths who are facing other challenges in life?
In fact, if you didn't ask me that question, I would have also brought it on. The truth of the matter is, everybody has a challenge. Yes. To some people, it's physical. Some people, it's not. In fact, even the non-physical is even worse. Let me share this story with you. I was on air one day in Port Harcourt on my radio show, And while I was there, I was talking about starting all over again. And then when I finished, a man just came, called me. I said, "Are you in the studio?" I said, "Yes." "Okay, I'm coming." So he came. He came with a rope. A mature man. He told me he wanted to hang himself that day. That he had put the rope on the fan. He was waiting for 9 o'clock for him to hang himself. That while he was waiting, I came on radio. And after listening to me, he said, "No, I'm not going to kill myself. Let me go and look for this man." So I spoke to him. My dear, everybody has a challenge. Everybody. That's one. So you're not alone. 2, the challenge for which you want to kill yourself. Some person has had that challenge and is alive and has overcome it. Challenges are meant to be overcome. 3, you must realize that anybody you see on the top of the mountain did not fall there. He climbed to that place. So in the process of going to perfection and success, challenges must come. 4, as a young person, if you have a challenge, don't cry. Rather ask, what will I do to come out of this challenge? Not to complain. 4, you must work on yourself. In fact, the greatest helping hand you have is the hand on your shoulder. You're looking for a helping hand, it's on your shoulder. You should start. Somebody came to me, a youth came to me one day and said, "Sir, I need money, like ₦1 million." And I said, "If I give you $1 million, what will you use it to do?" He said, "Yeah, he doesn't even know, but he needs the money. He wants to start." You don't even think. The youths are not thinking. My dear, youths need to understand failure. Failure is not the opposite of success. No. Failure is part of success. Failure goes hand in hand with success. So to every youth out there, you must realize that you are not alone. You must realize that what you're going through is not the first time. Someone has gone through it and has come off better. And then you must look for a way. God didn't create you to come and suffer. No. So you must don't just sit down and cry and give up. Keep knocking on the door. It will surely open. No man born of a woman that has not gone through challenges. So you are not the first. So don't die before your announcement. Because the truth is that immediately all the challenges of life are building us for when we'll be announced. Your heart, your mind is the greatest key to overcoming challenges. Just lock your heart and say, whatever it takes, I'm going to succeed. Once you're able to do that, challenge will look normal to you. The problem starts and ends with your mindset.
Wow, I'm inspired. Thank you so much, sir, for joining me on the show.
Thank you.
So on behalf of ACNN staff, I wish you all the very best life has to offer.
Thank you so
more
much.
Grace to inspire a lot of people.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for
I'm glad to
coming.
be here. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, sir.
All right.
Wow, viewers, how time flies. Don't worry, we are definitely having the second part of this interview with focus on what the church, government, and institutions can do. Don't forget to send in your comments in any of our social media platforms, and always stay tuned to this channel, Advent Cable Network Nigeria, reaching the world with the undiluted Word of God. And remember to watch out for the second part of this episode. I am Neuros Josiah. Stay blessed.
Generation.